All right, team, welcome back to After Hours. We have so much value today, so make sure you stay until the end. I'm going to be sharing a code with you to get a free year worth of CryptoCharged, a CryptoCharged subscription to the platform. And in the show, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and its prediction to hit 350K by Rob Kiyosaki. We're also going to be talking about Casper updates. I mentioned last week on the Ask Maddie show, Prove AI. We're going to talk about that today. And finally, you knew this was coming, we are talking about exiting crypto, the points of emphasis. So we're not giving you all the keys, we're not giving you all the points today, but we're going to talk about a couple points that you need to emphasize right now that you need to be like, okay, when selling, alerts, all that good stuff, exchanges. These things matter, and if you haven't done them yet, you must watch this video. You absolutely must watch this video until the end. If you haven't done all these things yet when it comes to exit strategy, you are behind, and you cannot be behind anymore. No longer. It is already June. It is June 10th. If you wait any longer, you might put yourself in a bad position. So don't put yourself in a bad position. Watch the show. All right, Maddie, let's talk about Bitcoin really quick. And we've seen 5 rejections from 72,000 from Bitcoin. We saw a breakout last week. Everyone got really hyped. And now we're seeing a back test in crypto. And here we go. Now we get the euphoria setting in. We got Rob Kiyosaki coming out again to reiterate that he gave us bold predictions, set 350,000 Bitcoin by August 25, 2024. Maddie, this is asinine. I don't know why people still do this, but it's cool because then it draws attention to the crypto markets. Everyone that's not buying crypto, they hear, oh, Bitcoin's going to hit 350,000. Oh, yay, it's my time to get in. That's what we hear. And I want to throw a couple stats at you. So what Rob is saying here is that Bitcoin would rise 400% from current prices. Okay, that would be a 5x, which is crazy. Like, I could only foresee a 2 to 3x. I think you share that same mentality when looking at those upper extensions on those Fibonacci's. Like, that's what I foresee. But you know what's even more funny about this, Maddie, is he thinks that we're going to do something even more crazier than last cycle. And this is where the euphoria sets in for these people. And this is what I want you to be aware of, team. What he is predicting here would be greater than the 2019 run-up and the peak we saw in 2021, the 2021 market top. By comparison, December 2018 to November 21, we saw a 2,000% move, okay? That was last bull run, okay? What Rob is calling for here from the bear market, the depths of the bear market in 2022 to whenever he sees that happening, for him, he sees that happening in August of this year, he's expecting a 2,164% move. Maddie, is this even possible?
I mean, anything's possible, I guess, if you believe just hard enough. And if you close your eyes and don't look at the screen, maybe it's possible. Kiyosaki's really tried to be relevant since 1997 when he wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. And, there's nothing wrong with, throwing your prediction out there and, doing some modeling. I think I would at least respect what Cathie Wood does with her egregious predictions, because at least there's some modeling behind it. And she talks about what kind of catalyst would be required. I think Kiyosaki just has his head in the clouds. I think last cycle he was calling for 250K or something like that by the end of that cycle. We reached a really egregious top, guys. And I think this is one of the things we have to think about when we talk about some of these larger caps, especially, and even some of the altcoins, is diminishing returns over time. Now, does that mean that it's not worth investing in? No, I'm not saying that at all. But as market cap rises, right, and especially once we start to get into this, multi-trillion-dollar market cap, you're not going to see that same influx of money that you see now, right? Making price move from the millions to the billions versus billions to trillions versus trillions onwards, right? That is a diminishing return cycle. So, I think we'd be blessed to see a 240K top for Bitcoin this cycle. From a Fibonacci extension standpoint, that would be kind of the upper bounds. I definitely think we get into the 6 figures. I mean, we're not very far from 6 figures right now. But first of all, to call for it by August of this year, that's absolutely insane. Again, what is your reasoning behind that? Where are your catalysts? You have so many people with these time predictions, and then when they throw the time predictions out there, they either provide no context, or the context they provide is based on like a very unlikely thing, or if the Fed cuts, then we have to go to 350K. No, like the economy has to provide that kind of catalyst for us to see that kind of money pour in, right? So again, not saying that we can't see amazing moves. I think that we still have a ton of cycle left here for us to see some exciting moves here in Bitcoin and the altcoin market, but to call for over $300,000 by August is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, Maddie, it's pretty crazy. And I'm feeling the euphoria right now with all these different people. And this is why you have to have a level-headed approach here, team. We talk about CryptoCharged, our platform, a lot. And I told Maddie before the show, let's do a special code for them. So this special code will be available from today. Today's June 10th. It will be available until June 17th. So for a whole 7 days, a special code. And this code will give you an annual membership to CryptoCharged. So Maddie, what's the value there?
Yeah, so usually we do, $1,000 for the year. If you guys use the code, it turns out for $499 for the year. But we're going to go ahead and do a giveaway here. So let you guys enter for that, and pick one of you guys for an annual membership there. So save yourselves at least $500 and get access to the Discord and all the goodies on our website for an entire year. And of course, after that, it's up to you if you want to continue with us or not. But most folks that are with us for a year or more, they generally don't go anywhere. They generally stick around. So hopefully, one of you guys who's really excited for membership and have been with us for a while is one of our winners.
Maddie, I want to see how on your toes you are. I want to see, how awake you are right now. I'm going to do something a little funny with you, and we'll see how it lands. Follow my lead here, Maddie. Spell fat.
Oh, God. F-A-T.
Spell her.
H-E-R.
What does that spell?
Fatter.
So one more time, Maddie. Spell fat.
F-A-T.
Spell her.
H-E-R.
What do those spell?
F-A-T-H-E-R. Fatter. Not on my toes. Not
One more time.
Today.
Last time, Maddie. Third time's a charm. Ready for this? Spell fat.
F-A-T.
Spell her.
H-E-R.
Okay. Say it together.
Fat her. Not on my toes today, bro. You're catching me.
Put them together, Maddie. They say father. That is the code, team. Use father. Got you, Maddie. I told you. I'm like, before the show,
get me
team.
good, bro. I'm sweating over here. It's already, you got the studio lights on, the PC's radiating heat. Now you already got me another level of sweat.
Team, I was telling Maddie before the show, it's like, hey, can we do a special code for the team here? He's like, yeah, I'll input it right now. What is it? And I was like, well, I want to break it on the show. Need your live reaction for this. So, team, for Maddie's, not slight embarrassment. It was actually really hard. It was a trend a couple months ago, so you can look that up. But super funny. Thank you for doing that, Maddie. The code is father, because we got Father's Day coming up this Sunday. So for this week, you can score a free CryptoCharged membership for a year. So team, use code when you go onto the platform. You can click the link in the pinned comment below. It'll take you to CryptoCharged.com. When you sign up, use code father. You must use code father if you want to be entered into this giveaway. If you do not use code father, you will not have the opportunity to win a free annual membership to CryptoCharged. So sign up for CryptoCharged in 30 days free. It's 30 days free. And if you want to be a CryptoCharged member, fine. You'll still be entered in the giveaway if you use the code. I hope you lose, though, but sign up for the platform, use the code, and you'll be entered in the giveaway, and we will announce it next week. We'll probably spin the wheel or do something fun in that capacity. But, Maddie, let's get into some talking points. So last week, I went on an interesting rant and started talking about Casper, but within that, I previewed what was going on with Prove AI, and I just want to give you the announcement here. Casper Labs IBM launched Prove AI Auditing Solution on Watsonx Platform. So let me tell you a little bit about what Prove AI is, okay? Prove AI will offer security, version control, multi-party access control, and advanced auditing functions for generative artificial intelligence AI training data sets through audit logs. So this will be made possible to revert to earlier data set versions to diagnose hallucinations, bias, and other performance issues. So, Maddie, this is what happened. Casper Labs at the IBM event not too long ago announced this potentially in Q3 of this year. And Maddie, what I love most about this is, so we see a partnership with like Casper and IBM. We see Watsonx governance, them coming together, and then this is like the continuation of that partnership. That's what I see here. And this is what I love to see in a crypto project. Maddie, what are your thoughts on this?
So it's not a super sexy, element that's being addressed here, but it's super essential. I think 99% of you guys have zero interest in accounting as a whole. And that's why accountants make decent money, right? Because we don't want to deal with those numbers. We don't want to deal with the headaches, and we don't want to have to, go through all of ourselves and, be confident that we're being accurate. Whether we're talking about, accounting for, treasuries for companies, or if we're talking about auditing code bases, there's a lot of manual work that goes into debugging, goes into testing, and there still will always be that, manual side of testing. There's always required to, have a subset of users do their very best to break things, because, you can only account for so much. But if we're able to, first of all, move records onto a blockchain, that first of all, eliminates a whole bunch of this, internal garbage that most people have when they consider accounting. Can't tell you how many companies that I've started at as a startup, and I got hired on for data analytics, which generally means you wear a lot of hats at a startup. But you get these big data sets, and they're like, hey, we're trying to figure out how why we're not spending the marketing dollars correctly, or we're trying to figure out why this isn't working. And you go through it, and first of all, the accounting itself is a super big mess. The data sets are super messy. So if we're able to put these on blockchains to begin with, that solves a very big issue. If you're able to then have AI do modeling of the software, first of all, it eliminates a lot of the need for humans to sit there for hours and sift through this data. You're able to just basically say, all right, here's all the parameters. Give me the solutions if I were to do this, this, and this, right? And it would give you all these different scenarios, and then you can evaluate those analysis and then see if you want to push further on those. So being able to, like you said, roll back on earlier versions is very important when they detect that there's like a big problem, right? And instead of letting people exploit that, we've seen big problems with bridge exploits because of that issue. When you have a new version that gets pushed out, and then you have to let the dev team roll it back. Imagine if AI were to step in and be like, major problem, roll back to the last state version that we know about, and then immediately closing off any more bridge attacks. There's a lot of use cases when it comes to that. So it's going to save a lot of time. It's going to save a lot of money, and it's going to just make us more efficient as a whole. We're going to have less and less opportunities for fraud, embezzlement, all those kinds of things. When you have, first of all, AI doing the monitoring, AI doing the governance, and AI doing the testing. So having these types of partnerships and collaborations is very important. For our long-term success in this industry, and I think it's very exciting. So we'll see how far this exact partnership goes, but I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, and just a great example of what blockchain can do outside of just, hey, it helps us keep our money really organized. There's so much other data that needs to be rectified on a very high level, other than just money itself.
Maddie, I was listening to the CEO of Casper Labs talk about, and he kind of described what is Casper Labs, and which is like a common thing people search about. I remember our TikTok videos back in the day. What is Casper? Who is Casper Labs? Who is this company with this project in the Casper token? And he said Casper Labs builds enterprise and industrial grade blockchain infrastructure and apps. And I love that he said grade, which is like the standard. And I love that he said that, because we are so early. And to even say that, like a grade, a standard of blockchain, is so laughable because we're still so early, And it's just funny that he said that. Obviously, he's the CEO, so he has to, sit there proper and
Right.
tell it like it is. Like, oh, we are the best. We are, state of the art, but we're still so early here. And he talked about legislation coming, and this is why we need AI governance, with Prove AI fitting right into the Watsonx governance product that IBM and Casper have going here. But something that he kind of pointed out is, he said lawsuits like the New York Times last year. New York Times sued OpenAI end of last year, December of last year, or it might have been January of this year. Lawsuits that I saw, it was New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft because of copyright infringement. The AI was using copyrighted work. And so if you have Prove AI stepping in to govern that in the Watsonx governance protocol here, and to not to be able to roll back data sets, like that is very important as it comes to this governing. So what is AI governance? Is the governing of AI. We can all agree here that AI is here to stay, and that we need something to govern it. And I was asking, Maddie before the show here, I was like, can we consider Casper an AI token? Maddie, is it an AI token?
I think that it's such a hot buzzword, AI, and we all want to be in that next AI project, right? Because we see what's happening. Like, if you guys have been on social media now, you don't even have to read through the comments anymore on Facebook. You click into a thing, and there's a little AI bubble at the top, and it literally summarizes what the top 15 comments are. Like, you do not even have to dig through the comments anymore. Like, it will just tell you what's happening at the top. So it's coming at a very fast pace. I use ChatGPT on a regular basis to, eliminate a lot of very labor intensive tasks that are not a good use of my time, right? I'm able to create summaries of our shows using ChatGPT, and of course, give it the read over and make sure that everything's correct. But you do have this need for, governance over it. ChatGPT is a powerful tool to take, big pieces of reading and research and then make it in a condensed version. So you have students now that are able to, and consume information at a higher level. But of course, what's the flip side of that? We want to make sure that they're still doing their own work. They're not plagiarizing. So we need to have a countermeasure to that to make sure that we're still able to evaluate their work. It's okay to use AI, right, to some extent, but we want to make sure that AI is not doing all of the work. And same example like you just gave there. We want to make sure that we're, taking data that is available to us, because we do have the right to take, videos that people make or articles that people write, and we're able to, write our own opinions about them, make criticisms of them, and utilize that in the correct context. But we want to make sure that we're not plagiarizing. So, having governance that steps in, that kind of creates like a counter tool to the power of AI is very important. It's like we've talked about previously, just with technology as a whole. We build all this blockchain technology out. It's very powerful. We see where this is going. But then the flip side of that is you have, nefarious people, you have scammers, you have hackers, you have people who know how to break code, and they know how to get in front of that. And the problem is you have legislation that it's always well behind the technology. So this is always going to be an evolving space. You're going to have all these horror stories over the next 10 years of AI is coming, the sentient robots are going to be killing your children, right? But like, it's really just kind of like the fear of new tech because the legislation hasn't caught up. And that's going to be a story, well beyond when I'm dead, with whatever new tech or new, social idea comes along. That's always going to be the case.
I love that, Maddie. And I was telling you before the show, Casper in my portfolio sits in such an interesting spot. Casper is the only token I hold right now that I've been investing in that has not seen a previous bull run. Casper was launched at the tail end of the 2021 bull run. And so I started investing in 2022 into that deep bear market. Am I still underwater right now in Casper? Yes. What's that? 2.6 cents. My average Casper is like 3.6, no, not 3.6, 3.2 cents. I don't know. I have it on my sheet. I might show it here in a second since I can't remember off the top of my head. Point being, though, is I was averaging deep into the bear market there, and I'm still at this point buying Casper now. I'm at 2.5, 2.6 cents. I want to get that Casper average lower. And so it's funny when you guys would call out oh, what's your guys' AI picks? It's Casper's my AI pick, if that's what you want to hear. It's still this industry is still so early, we're at the tip of the iceberg. We're not the tip iceberg. We're just still so early to it. And what I mean by that is you can invest in most of these altcoins right now and still see success. This is why I don't respect people that throw out a bunch of different crypto predictions. And it's then what's the point of that? In my portfolio, I hold 6 assets, all right? I can stand firm on that. XRP, Casper, Zcash, API3, HBAR, maybe 5. I don't know. Darn it. I'm going to pull it up on my breakdown right now. I'm struggling here. But the point being, though, is Maddie is okay, crypto sits at an interesting point in our portfolio. It is the only altcoin that we hold that has not seen a previous bull run, which is a very tough thing for me. I would like to see that bull run top and then go into the bear market. I can confidently invest in here. What you don't want to see with an asset is a lot of these, Solana meme coins that were launched at the top of this year launch, a little bit of price appreciation and then goes and hits zero. That's what you hate seeing, right, Maddie? And
right.
So with Casper here, this is the moment for me, right? We've scraped the lows, we've seen pops here and there, but now's the time to invest in this crypto. When we look at advancements like we're seeing with Casper Labs, with partnerships, the team is here to stay, so that's why I'm confident. Maddie, we don't care what these people do. We don't care what these people have to say about Casper. I don't care if they invest in Casper. We are just doing what we know, what we're paying attention to, and Casper is on that, top 6, top, 13 list, however many altcoins you have in your portfolio, but it's on our list, so we're going to pay attention to that, because sometimes it does feel like we're shilling it, but then I realize it's oh, this is all we care about. We only care about these 6 to 12 assets, so why wouldn't we talk about it all the time, So I just wanted to throw that at, Casper's at 2.5 cents. Maddie, is Casper a steal right now or what?
I think it's a steal. One of the things that we were looking at in the Discord this morning, and we were just kind of discussing back and forth some of the risk rewards, some some rotations and whatnot. But we were talking about Casper and kind of how frustrating the price action has been, and there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. But one of the charts that I brought up, and I brought up a couple different price studies, but one of the price studies we looked at was VeChain, and VeChain's a great example to compare to Casper, not only from a technical perspective. There's also the fundamental sharing of trace and track and supply chain logistics. That's one of the main value points of VeChain. But VeChain launched in the 2019 cycle, right? So this is after that 2018 top came in. So just really unfortunate timing, gets beat up, goes through setting a new low in 2020 because of C19. Again, not a reflection of VeChain technology or not enough partnerships or not enough T1 listings or whatever the million reasons why people think it's not a great thing, right? And you go for hundreds and hundreds of days in a near identical situation, you finally get a little breakout back test and you get a huge markup period. And we're actually completing a very similar set of, market structure circumstances right now across the board in a lot of altcoins right now. So, I know that it's very difficult when you look at some of these charts and you're like looking at some of the other alts that kind of had a front runner position and you're like, damn, Casper is dead, right? Like this price action sucks. But then you look back on VeChain and if I were to be like, what if I told you could buy the bottom of this accumulation range knowing that we're going to get even, let's say 60% up to the way of, the wick that we saw on the way down? You'd be like, that's a no brainer. I'm buying the freaking bottom, right? Like, and I'm not saying that 2.2 or 2.3 can't present itself, but like, don't be stepping over dollars to pick up pennies here. If you guys have done your research, you understand the fundamentals, this price action is really just nothing that I'm too concerned about, especially looking at what we've seen across the board previously and what we're seeing across the board right now. I have no doubt that before the end of the cycle, we are going to get enormous price action for Casper that is multiple X's, well over a 10X.
Yes, Matty. Look at Zcash in 2019. Look at XLM in 2020, or look at Render in like 2022, 2023. Those were ugly. Those were very deep in accumulation, right. Ugly. And this is how it's ugly sometimes. And that's when you buy. Right. You buy when it's ugly, right, Matt? All right, Absolutely. Team, here's the value right here. I put this together and, this is like, kind of, I've taken this because Maddie's the one that brought me into this world. And so this is like, my exiting crypto points of emphasis. And if you want the full breakdown, consistent investor strategy, you can watch that video on the website at CryptoCharged.com. Maddie and I are planning on doing a new version of that, a little bit more descriptive of it, more digestible for you guys. So that's upcoming. But if you want to watch the original one, it's on the website. So we're not getting into, buying right now. We're just talking about, okay, you already bought your cryptos. What's next? Okay, you got to sell, game plan, all that stuff. And so I wanted to run through some of these things right here. So quick outline here. You got to evaluate your buying performance. What you did, you now got to strategize your selling, set alerts, and then plan exchange usage. Those are like 4 things you have to recognize, you have to do at this point. Maddie, I'm going to leave this up to you right now. Evaluate your buying performance. Where were you buying an asset? Hopefully you bought at the lows, but what would be an optimal, you bought in the bear market, what is optimal, like what ranges, what's a good cost basis for maybe an example would be like XRP. You could probably pull up the chart right now and be like, okay, this is a good area that you could have bought XRP. What is, like, when looking at your buying right now to determine, if I should hold the asset long term, should I sell it all at the end of this bull run? What should people look at?
Yeah, so your long-term hold should definitely be determined by your cost basis, and then we're also going to have to look at some of those targets. So it's a pretty simple approach that I take, and we always have to kind of look at past trends, and we can do our best to apply those past trends to current performance. Of course, we don't necessarily have to see a 1-for-1, but we can generally see again, like we've talked about, accumulation, breakout, backtest, markup, distribution, markdown, reaccumulation, right? Like, because it's not going to be 1-for-1 fractal wise, but we're still going to see those same market behaviors, especially over multiple cycles. Now, I've been accumulating XRP for quite some time. Obviously, we had a very short-lived bull run here in 2021 with the SEC lawsuit in place. That's not, XRP being a bad asset. There's just, massive USD listings. Still actually had decent performance when you look at, ROI here from 2020 low. You still did about a 16, 17x, which is really nothing to cry about. Of course, we were expecting new all-time highs, so most people didn't sell, but it didn't perform absolutely horribly, just not as great as the rest of the market. But one of the things that I want to consider is this. So first of all, I'm always going to bring my Fibonacci's into this. So we'll go swing high, swing low on that last cycle. So in the very grand scheme of things, if we're below this 236 here, generally a good spot for accumulation. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't mark up other support and resistance zones and maybe be a little bit more picky and be like, here's why I really, really want to heavily accumulate, but I will add up to this point, to build a bigger position if, the market takes off sooner than expected. But what I want to do is, first of all, my average is below 50 cents. I've done a really good job of bringing that average down. We were down there, down here in the 30s and 40s. I was definitely building really, really aggressively, even though people were pretty pessimistic about it at the time. So I'm pretty happy with my average. But here's one of the things I do is I pick my targets out, right? So I use the 1.618 generally as my target, take profit 1. I generally use the 2.618 as TP2, and then I'll use somewhere between the 3.618 or the 4.236 up here as TP3. And then there's going to be bag number 4 technically basically if it's a long-term hold where it's like, okay, I've built a good average here, and I want to see, if we do get past this point, or I believe in this over 10, 15 years, not just over 2 or 3 years, and I want to see that as a higher low. But how do you determine if your average is good enough? So here's kind of the approach that I take to determine if it's good enough. So let's say that my average is, let's say it's even 50 cents right now. Let's just go with current market price, just so you guys have a live example. So let's say this is our average. We have a 49.50 average on XRP. Just started buying it. It's still a great price, and I stand by that. 50 cents is a good price for XRP. Anything under $1, I think is still a good price for XRP. What I would do is I would say, okay, if we only reach target 1 and we only get to $5.48, right? And I think that we'd see well beyond that. If we were to see a bear market reversal from this point, which would be minus 80, 85, 90%, just depending on, what we, it could be more shallow this time, maybe, who knows? But let's just go with worst case scenario, right? So I'm going to measure from the 1.618, let's go down about 80%. That would put me at $1.04, right? So where am I up right now from my average entry? I'm in about 50 cents. That higher low would put me at $1, right? So I'm up about 2x from that initial entry. So for me, that is a long-term hold. Now, let's say that my average was much higher than that, right? Let's say it's $1, and then we see, the worst case scenario, and we see an 80% reversal from that, right? Now I'm at break even, and that doesn't make sense. So again, we can't predict exactly how deep we're going to go. I think that we're going to set a higher low, probably higher than that. I think we're probably going to set a higher low, probably towards the $1.36 region. That's just kind of what I think is probably going to happen for XRP. But what you want to think about with those long-term holds is deferring those tax obligations to a later date, and potentially for an incredibly long time if we have the ability to borrow against those assets. So if you have positions that are slowly building higher and higher, eventually those higher lows for XRP become, let's say, $5, $10, $15 at some point in the future. Now you can have a very low loan to value, still take out effective amounts of money, be able to put those into other cash flowing businesses, whether it be another investment property or a laundromat or whatever the hell you want to start, still hold those assets, pay no taxes on them because you haven't sold them, right? So I want you guys to think about some of the long-term value of these assets, not just what can I do this cycle. So of course, we still want to extract a lot of value out of this. I'm talking about somewhere between 60 and 85% of your position you should take out. But if we've done this exercise and we go very worst case scenario, this is where I would end up with an average, and I'm happy with that average as a higher low for a long-term hold, then maybe it's worth considering holding on long-term for, right? And also a big reason why I have not had this incredibly huge 50, 60, 70 asset portfolio is I want to manage these. I want to be effective with these. I want to try to be picky and hold some long-term winners. Now, next cycle, I'll definitely add some new coins in. I'll add some new winners in. But we want to build a portfolio, right? And that's what a lot of people do with their stock portfolio. Some people are lazy and they just say, I want to buy the S&P, I want to buy the NASDAQ. And still, over long periods of time, you can make higher highs and higher lows and have a great time with that portfolio. But people who build their portfolios, they build their Apple positions, they build their Amazon positions. They're proud of those. They know that over long periods of time, they're going to be worth more and more on higher lows, and they potentially can borrow against those in the future. So I want you guys to consider some of those things when you're looking at your exit plan is what is the long-term goal here, not just what can I do for this cycle.
Maddie, I love that. That was a great breakdown. And team, so Maddie just gave you the breakdown. Here's what it looks like on paper. Here's the visualization, right? Create the framework, cost basis, the amount of crypto you hold for a particular asset like XRP. How much do you hold? Sell prices. Maddie said 3. I agree. And then we have that long-term bag, which makes it 4. Decide a long-term bag for your particular assets. How much are you going to sell at each price? Then you're left with a cash position, probably in a stable coin, and then you're left with a long-term bag. So this is my smallest bag holding. This is my API 3 position. Here's the breakdown on paper, how I have it, all right? I use a guide. Fibonacci's to me are like a guide, all right? So API 3 all-time high, last all-time high, March of 2021. The low, when you could have bought the absolute bottom, was in August 2023. That was the absolute low. So on a chart, just like Maddie displayed, swing high, swing low, you know what I'm talking about. If you have no idea what I'm saying as it relates to Fibonacci's or whatever Maddie just went on, you need to become a member, because if you know, that's very important, you know that, all right? So if you don't know the lingo here, you're behind. This is too new for you. Go watch another show or become a CryptoCharged member, all right? Now, you must know your cost basis, all right? My cost basis on API 3 is $1.03, all right? The amount of API 3 I have is 1,000, all right? This is what it looks like here, team. The Fibonacci's give me that guide of when I'm selling, all right? And also, I just want to point this out. This is not what we have on our website right here, right? I've taken what Maddie has provided in the past. I've taken my own analysis and I brought them together. This is my strategy, all right? So this is my strat right here. This does not reflect CryptoCharged strategy, all right? I'm selling my first price target at the 1.618. That is a Fibonacci level. That is $16.91 for my first sell target of API 3, all right? And now let me tell you, If that was the only price I sold this bag at, I'm going to show you what it looks like, but that only bag, if I was to only sell 266 API 3 at that price target, I'm okay with it. You have to go in with a strategy. It's like, okay, this is my conservative price I'm selling at. If API 3 only hits $16.91 right here, I'm okay. And then we get to some other conservative price start. Well, this is conservative. This is like standard 3618. And then I have this 8. And if you're a trader or anywhere else, you might think this is absolute insanity, right? If you're a trader and saw like I'm selling my price target at the 8 Fibonacci, you're probably like, yep, I'm not watching this video anymore. I'm done. But with me here, is I'm going with the mindset is that I'm okay only selling at this price target right here. This is like standard right here when it comes to assets going back up into a bullish period, that 3618. Now, when we talk about the 8 Fibonacci is asinine. It's insane to even write it down on this. But for me, I know in this period, I'm going to be locked in at my desk. I know I'm going to be on my exchanges. I'm going to know I'm going to be ready to sell. So I want to see an asset like API 3 if it will hit the 8 Fibonacci. Now, some of you are not in that position. Some of you have your regular job. Some of you can't sit at your desk all day. So this isn't going to be likely for you. It's probably going to be the 4.236, all right? That would probably be yours instead of my 8, right? But I just wanted to do this because I know for me, I'm going to be at my desk during this time, Maddie, right? I know I'm going to be ready to sell, and I want to see if it does, if API 3 hits the 8, I'm cashing out, I'm done, right? But with the thought process here, if it only hits the 1618, I'm cool. And this is what the projected percentage looks like from my cost basis. So this is why it's important to mark this out. Let's drop down here a little bit, Maddie. API 3 accumulated times 20% equals my long-term bag. What does that look like for me? I have 1,000 API 3 times that by 20. That's 200 API 3. So that is my long-term bag, all right? Here's an easy math equation for you. Here's the sell plan. Take your 1,000 API 3, which is how much API 3 I hold. Subtract that by 200, which is my long-term bag. The amount of API 3, subtract the long-term, divide it by 3. This is how much API 3 I'm selling at each price target. 1, 2, 3, I'm selling 266.66 API 3 per price target. And this is what it looks like. At the 1618, I'm selling 266 API 3. I'm getting $4,500. At the 3618, I'm getting $9,800. At the 8, I'm getting 21 grand. All right, for a net profit of 35K, and I have 200 API 3 left. That's what it looks like, team. Now, I know many of you probably have not done that before, and you seeing that visualized on paper was probably crazy to you. You must do something like that. You must break it down. This is the last day of it being on here because I'm going to put it over to a Google Sheet on a document on Excel. You know, I use Google Sheets, you know, whatever you do, whatever you want to use, you use Excel. I'm using Google Sheets, but I'm transforming all of that on there so I can have it cloud-based. And so that is what I am doing there, team. Again, but with all of those things right there, you need to have that strategized 1,000%, right, Matt?
Definitely. Having the written plan is something I've talked about many times. Definitely an Excel doc is going to be probably the easier way to go about it. It's easier to kind of visualize everything. But you know, if you're that tech adverse, a notebook will do just fine. Either which way, you definitely need to have something written down. And if there are going to be changes you're going to make to it, make sure that you're writing down, you know, with a journal entry of why you're changing it, what those changes are, you know, so that way if you do make a mistake or you wish you'd done something different, you can look back and be like, why did I make that decision, right? So that you have a little bit more context and clarity into it. And that's really the big value I've talked about with the trading journal is people think that they're too good for a trading journal, or, you know, you don't need one because, you know exactly what you're doing. But I promise you the mindset you have right now during consolidation, even like these 90 days of consolidation, I promise you the frothiness and the, you know, intensity in the market has subsided, you know, greatly. And some people are even concerned of, you know, hey, maybe it's getting cut short. Maybe this is the top of the market. You know, and it's so easy to shift that mindset. So, you know, get a trading journal, guys, you know, get a written plan. It's going to make you feel a lot better when you can look back on it.
It's about to get super frothy right here, Maddie. Okay, let's talk about the last 2 points we want to talk about here. Setting alerts. Maddie, how important is it to set alerts?
It's very important. So if you guys don't have a TradingView account, I would definitely recommend getting one. You're going to need a paid plan. Now, definitely, like I mentioned many times, if you're not planning on, you know, using all the additional features, you don't need to go all the way up to the top plan. I think I'm on the second paid plan up, and that's more than enough for me. And I do this professionally. I teach this professionally. So I'm telling you guys, don't waste your money. I would also recommend additional tip here, go with the monthly subscription for now, because on Black Friday every year, they offer a disgusting deal. It's like minus 70%. That's when you want to jump on that annual plan. So if you don't have one, start now on the monthly, but then also keep an eye out for November when they do that Black Friday, because you get an annual plan for a really, really good price. Now in TradingView, you can set up custom alerts. So you can, what you guys are going to be mostly using is let me know when price crosses this, but you guys can even set up all kinds of stuff. Let me know when price breaches the 50-week moving average. Let me know when price does this. Let me know when price has moved up or down a certain percentage. You can be very granular. You can also create little notes in there. So you can even say, hey, let me know when XRP has crossed $7, and put the note says, move XYZ amount of XRP onto exchange at this price. So you always want to let yourself know ahead of time, right? You don't want to set it at the price target if you plan on selling at 7 and you're in cold storage. So again, I'm back up here. If you're not in cold storage, then maybe this is a little different for you and you can just set limits inside of Coinbase Advanced. But if you're in cold storage, you need to move those on. You do have the option of swapping inside of Ledger Live, but you're most likely going to pay a higher fee for that, and you're not going to necessarily get executed at the price you want. So I recommend setting that alert of maybe, let's say, $1 or $2 ahead of time for XRP, move that tranche onto exchange, and then you're going to want to set a limit. Additional pro tip here, do not use the standard Coinbase swap feature. I know that they do not make it super visible. They do not want you to see how easy it is. The only thing that I actually use the regular Coinbase portal for is my DCA. That is it. That is the only thing I actually use it for. Why? Because the spreads and the fees that you pay on standard Coinbase are exponentially higher than Coinbase Advanced. You don't even have to leave the platform anymore. They've merged Coinbase Pro with the Coinbase platform. There's a little toggle at the bottom that says Coinbase Advanced. You turn that on, you can set your limits there. If you guys are placing a spot order, if you guys are placing a limit, buy or sell, please use Coinbase Advanced. You will save yourself so much money. So my plan for 99.9% of my assets right now is to sell inside of Coinbase Advanced using that feature there. It's going to be very easy. Now, again, we talked about a 3-target approach. Really, those 3 targets are probably broken out into 3 sub-targets. So let's say target 1 is $7. It's probably going to look something more like $6.50, $7, $7.50. So that 30% sell or 40% sell is going to be broken up into 3 chunks, just to make sure that I have good execution. You might, especially if, we're all looking at these FIP targets, might have some high volume during that time. So you want to split your order up into potentially a few orders. So it could be 9 or 10 orders to fully execute your plan. It's completely up to you on how granular you want to be about it. But either which way, that written plan is going to, should coincide with your TradingView alerts. And that's really the best way to go about it. So for some of you guys, you're like, that sounds like too much work. Sure. I've just seen too many exchanges go down. I've seen the malarkey that happens with exchanges. And even though Coinbase Advanced is the place that I plan on unloading, if I'm in cold storage and I go to move those coins and Coinbase is down, I'm not going to move them to Coinbase, right? I'm going to look for another exchange. I'm going to see who's up and running right now. I'm going to move my coins there. So that's part of the flexibility and benefit of keeping in cold storage and moving into tranches, is you get to decide what exchange you want to move on to. Let's say all the exchanges are down. Let's say Uphold's down and Coinbase is down, and Mexi has kicked us off or whatever. I can at least be like, all right, I'm going to swap inside of Ledger Live, even though I'm going to pay a higher fee for it. I have that flexibility. So understand, guys, it's not me just being this paranoid little libertarian that I got to be in self-custody all the time. There is true benefits to having self-custody beyond just the privacy aspect of it.
Yes, great breakdown, Matty. You brought everything together there. So free plan, 5 alerts. So that's not enough alerts for me. That's why I went to the essential plan, which is 20 alerts. And if you want to get a plan on TradingView, there will be a link in the comment section that you can click on that gives us kickback. Then you also have to plan exchange usage. Now, the exchanges that we're using right now, we may not use in the future. You just have to accept that. I was using Nexa, I was using KuCoin way back when, and now I don't use any of those exchanges. So now you want to have as many as you can, which sounds crazy, but you absolutely need to have 3. Coinbase, Mexi, Uphold. If you're in America, you can get 2 of them. If you get a VPN, you can get Mexi. This could change, so just be ready. This is why you got to be in a community. You have to be tapped in and ready to go, because when it comes to exchanges, that changes all the time. That has changed over and over. If you looked at 2021, 2022, 2023, it was all different every single year. So This is why you have to be tapped in. And it might sound tedious or whatever, because I know some of you may be a little bit older and you're like, well, I just want to use Coinbase. Well, it's like, that's not how it works here, guys. We are in a new asset class that's been around for like 13 years, and we have to go to marketplaces where are the best. This is why we don't use Uphold anymore and we use Mexi. All right, things change, people change, and I'm going to switch exchanges when I feel like it. Matty, that is all. Any final tips to leave the team here with? I feel like this is a lot of value. If you do not do this and you go into the bull run blindsided and just looking on Twitter for when you should sell, you are not going to be strategic. You cannot tell me that you're going to be more strategic than I was just right here, right? Maddie, any last tips here?
Yeah, make sure you guys get plugged in with us, right? Like, the 30 days free comes with no matter, whatever plan you guys pick. Make sure you guys use code FATHER like we just talked about, not FAT HER, to, get entered, as well as that 30 days free and 50% off any membership. That comes with the live updates Monday through Friday. So we're doing full breakdowns, chart breakdowns, fundamental news. We got the coin library. So if you guys I don't have time for all this, I just want to go see your targets, fine, go for it. We update those regularly. Go check that out. And again, I know the biggest piece that we didn't have at the very beginning of our program that is absolutely crucial to rounding out our program now is that Discord community. We are in there 7 days a week answering questions, making sure you guys understand the material. If you guys are having an issue with an exchange or a wallet or you're new, we have a tech support channel in there. We make sure you guys are fully supported through the process to make sure there are no excuses of, I didn't know, I didn't have an outlet. We have really created this well-rounded approach with our program. And really, I think also one of the best pricing points out there. So with that discount code, guys, it is $49 a month or $4.99 for the year, but we will be picking one of you guys who use that code for a free annual membership to enjoy us and hopefully make a lot of money this year.
All right, Maddie, we're done today. Team, we will see you at the Ask Maddie Show, 2:30 p.m. Pacific this Wednesday. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll bring them up on the show. I'm sorry if we talked fast because we're at a 40-minute show now, but it is for you guys. Notice how we never go under, we always go over. Okay, so that's because we just want to provide value here. I know this whole exit strategy was a lot here. I know we went through a lot of things today, but I hope that you took that in and it's for your benefit. And I hope you grabbed onto something today. I mean, we talked about Bitcoin and what your mindset should be with that. We talked about Casper, why we're so bullish on Casper, and then we broke down exiting the market, which is by far the hardest thing you can do in crypto. It's even harder than buying. I mean, you bought during the whole bear market, you had the DCA on, whoopee. Most people can't do that because they don't have the mental fortitude to do that. But here at CryptoCharged, we have that mental fortitude. But when selling, it is very difficult, okay? And you guys must go in with a game plan, all right? And there's more to this at CryptoCharged.com. So join us there. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.